The light tree grew through the night. By morning, it stood 10 meters tall, its branches spreading wide like open arms. Golden light poured from every leaf, soft and warm, visible even in the daylight. It was the most beautiful thing anyone had ever seen. News spread across the world. People everywhere watched the videos, saw the photographs, read the stories. An alien had come to Earth, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to say thank you. And she had left a gift that would shine forever. Something changed in the hearts of humans that day. Something small but important. A shift, a realization. They were not alone in the universe. And the universe knew them for their kindness. Ji-hoon stood beneath the light tree as the sun rose over Seoul. He had not slept all night, but he did not feel tired. Beside him, Kira and Nova watched the sunrise together. "It is time for us to go," Kira said softly. "We cannot stay much longer. Our ship must return home." Ji-hoon felt a sharp pain in his chest. Strange, how quickly he had grown attached to these visitors from the stars. Strange, how much it hurt to think of them leaving. "Will you come back?" he asked. Kira turned to look at him. Her dark eyes held depths he could not understand. Thousands of years of history, millions of miles of travel, experiences beyond human imagination. And yet, she looked at him with something simple, something he recognized. Friendship. "Yes," she said. "We will come back. Not just us. Others will come too. Now that the connection is made, it cannot be broken. Earth is part of the galactic community now." Quietly, gently, but truly, she placed her hand over her heart and bowed to him. "Park Ji-hoon, you saved my life 5 years ago. But you did more than that. You showed me what humans really are. Not the wars your histories record. Not the conflicts your news reports. But the truth beneath all of that. The kindness, the hope, the light in your hearts that refuses to go out, no matter how dark things become." Her voice grew thick with emotion. "My people will remember you. Your name will be known on worlds you cannot imagine. You are a hero, Ji-hoon. Not because you are strong or powerful, but because when you saw someone in need, you helped. That is the most heroic thing anyone can do." Ji-hoon did not know what to say. He had never thought of himself as a hero. He was just a man who had done what felt right. Nova ran to him and threw her arms around his waist. He hugged her back, lifting her slightly off the ground. "I do not want to go," she said, her voice muffled against his jacket. "I want to stay and learn more about humans. I want to see more of your world." "You can come back," Ji-hoon said gently. "Your mother said so. And next time, I will show you everything. The oceans, the mountains, the cities and the villages. All of it." Nova pulled back and looked at him. Her dark eyes were wet with something that might have been tears, though no water fell. "Promise?" she asked. "Promise," he said. She reached into her robe and pulled out something small. A stone, about the size of a coin, smooth and white. "This is from my world," she said. "From the beach near my home. I want you to have it, so you remember me." Ji-hoon took the stone. It was cool and light in his hand. He could feel the waves of a distant ocean in it, the warmth of an alien sun, the laughter of a little girl with blue skin. "I will keep it forever," he said, "and I will think of you every time I look at it." Nova smiled her brilliant smile. Then she ran back to her mother and took her hand. Kira looked at Ji-hoon one last time. Between them passed something that needed no words. A connection that distance could not break. A bond that time could not erase. "Goodbye, Park Ji-hoon," she said. "Until we meet again. Goodbye, Kira. Goodbye, Nova." They walked to their platform and stepped onto it. The platform began to rise slowly, lifting them toward the great silver ship still hanging in the sky. Nova waved all the way up, her small hand moving back and forth until she was too high to see clearly. The ship's door closed behind them. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the massive vessel began to rise. Higher and higher, silent and graceful. The whole city watched. The whole world watched. The ship rose until it was just a point of silver light against the blue sky. Then, with a flash that was felt more than seen, it was gone, vanished into the depths of space. Returning to a home beyond imagination, Ji-hoon stood alone beneath the light tree, watching the empty sky. Around him, people were cheering, crying, celebrating. But he felt quiet inside, peaceful. He had done something good once. A small act of kindness in the darkness of space. And it had led to this. To hope, to connection, to light. His phone buzzed. A message from his wife, Yuna. "Come home," it said. "I made your favorite soup. And I want to hear everything." He smiled. Some things never changed. The universe was vast and full of wonders. But home was still home. Love was still love. He started walking down the hill, the white stone from Nova's beach warm in his pocket. Around him, people were gathering at the light tree, touching its glowing trunk, taking photographs. Crying with joy. A child ran up to him. A little Korean girl, maybe 7 years old. She tugged at his sleeve. "Mr. Park?" she said. "Are you the man who saved the alien?" He knelt down to look at her. Her eyes were wide and bright, full of wonder. "Yes," he said. "I am. Why did you help her?" The girl asked. "Were you not scared?" Ji-hoon thought about the question. He thought about the darkness of space, the fear he had felt, the moment of choice. "I was scared," he admitted. "Very scared. But someone needed help. And when someone needs help, you help them. That is what humans do. That is what makes us human." The little girl nodded seriously, as if this was the most important lesson she had ever learned. "I want to be like you when I grow up," she said. "I want to help people too." Ji-hoon felt tears prick his eyes again. This old man cried too much these days. But he did not mind. "You will," he said. "You will help many people. I can see it in your eyes." The girl smiled and ran back to her parents. Ji-hoon watched her go, feeling something warm spread through his chest. This was why it mattered. Not the fame, not the history books, not even the gratitude of an alien civilization. It mattered because a little girl on Earth had learned something today. She had learned that kindness was important, that helping others was what made life meaningful, that one person could make a difference, and she would grow up, and she would help others, and they would learn the same lesson, and they would help others too, on and on, forever, spreading outward like the light of the tree on the hill. One small act of kindness, rippling through time and space, changing everything. Ji-hoon walked home through streets filled with celebrating people. Above him, the sky was blue and endless. Out there, somewhere, Kira and Nova were traveling back to their world. And on their world, they would tell the story. Of Earth, of humans, of the kind man who saved a life and changed everything. The galaxies were full of darkness, but they were also full of light. And humans had their own light to give. Small, perhaps. Fragile, perhaps. But real and precious. And impossible to extinguish. Park Ji-hoon reached his house as the sun began to set. Yuna was waiting at the door. She had tears in her eyes, but a smile on her face. "Welcome home, hero," she said. He took her hand. "I am not a hero," he said. "I am just a man who helped someone once." She squeezed his hand. "That is what makes you a hero," she said. "Come inside. Your soup is getting cold." He laughed, and he went inside, and he ate his soup, and he told his wife everything. And outside, on a hill overlooking Seoul, the light tree glowed golden against the darkening sky. A gift from the stars, a promise for the future, a reminder that in all the vast coldness of space, there was warmth. There was kindness. There was hope. And it started with humans. The impossible people, the kind ones, the helpers. The light in the darkness. Forever. The morning started like any other in Seoul. People walked to work. Children went to school. Cars filled the streets with noise. Nobody knew that this day would change everything. At exactly 9 o'clock, the sky turned dark. Not like clouds covering the sun. It was different. A shadow fell over the city, and everyone stopped moving. They looked up. A ship hung in the sky. It was massive, bigger than any building. It was silver and smooth, shaped like a teardrop. No wings, no engines that anyone could see. It just floated there, silent and still. For a long moment, nobody breathed. Then the screaming started. People ran in every direction. Mothers grabbed their children. Shop owners closed their doors. The streets became chaos. Police sirens filled the air. Military helicopters appeared within minutes, circling the ship like angry bees around a flower. But the ship did nothing. It simply waited. In a small apartment on the edge of the city, an old woman named Grandma Bong watched the news on her television. Her mouth hung open. She had lived through many things in her long life. Wars, disasters, but never this. Never something from the stars. They have come, she whispered to herself. They have finally come. The government acted fast. They cleared the area below the ship. They set up barriers. Soldiers took positions with their weapons ready. The president spoke on television, asking everyone to stay calm. But how could anyone stay calm? An alien ship was floating above their city. Hours passed. The ship did not move. It did not attack. It did not try to communicate. The world watched and waited. Every television channel showed the same image. Every phone buzzed with messages and videos. The internet nearly broke from all the traffic. Then, as the sun began to set, something happened. A small door opened on the bottom of the ship. Light poured out, bright and blue. Something was coming down. The soldiers raised their weapons. Commanders shouted orders. Everyone held their breath. A platform descended slowly. On it stood two figures. One was tall, very tall, perhaps 2 meters or more. She had blue skin, the color of a clear summer sky. Her hair was white like snow and fell past her shoulders. She wore a simple silver robe that moved gently in the wind. Her eyes were large and dark, like pools of deep water. She looked beautiful, but also strange. Clearly not human. Beside her stood a small child, a little girl. She had the same blue skin and white hair as her mother, but her eyes were different. They were wide with wonder, looking at everything around her. She held her mother's hand tightly, half hiding behind her leg. The platform touched the ground. The tall woman stepped forward. The child stayed close to her. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the wind and the distant hum of helicopters. A general named Taeho stepped forward. He was a brave man. He had fought in many battles, but his hands were shaking now. He stopped a few meters from the alien woman and looked up at her face. "Who are you?" he asked. His voice came out rough. "What do you want?" The alien woman looked at him. Her expression was calm, peaceful. She did not seem afraid of all the weapons pointed at her. She tilted her head slightly, as if studying him. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft and clear. She spoke Korean perfectly, though with a slight accent that nobody could place. "I am called Kira," she said. "And this is my daughter, Nova." The little girl peeked out from behind her mother and gave a tiny wave. It was such a human gesture that some of the soldiers almost smiled. "I come in peace," Kira continued. "I mean no harm to your world or your people." General Tejo swallowed hard. "Then why are you here? What do you want from us?" Kira looked down at her daughter. The little girl looked up at her mother and nodded. Some silent message passed between them. Kira looked back at the general. "I am here because my daughter wants to see a human." The general blinked. "What? Not just any human," Kira said. "A specific one. His name is Park Ji-hoon." A murmur went through the crowd of soldiers and officials. People looked at each other in confusion. Park Ji-hoon? Who was that? Why would an alien travel across space to find one person? Who was this Park Ji-hoon? The general asked. Kira's dark eyes seemed to look at something far away. Something only she could see. 5 years ago, she said, my ship was damaged. I was lost in the dark space between stars. I was dying. My life support was failing. I had accepted my death. She paused. The wind played with her white hair. Then, a human ship found me. It was small. A research vessel, I think. They were not supposed to be so far from your world. But they were there. And they saved me. Her voice grew softer. Park Ji-hoon was the one who pulled me from my broken ship. He gave me air from his own suit when mine ran out. He carried me to safety. He did not know me. He did not know my people. He had every reason to fear me. But he saved me anyway. The little girl Nova tugged at her mother's robe. Kira looked down at her with gentle eyes. I told my daughter this story many times, Kira said, about the human who saved me. She has heard many such stories about your kind. Your people are famous among the stars, not for your weapons or your technology, but for your kindness, your strange, impossible kindness. She looked back at the general. My daughter is young. She dreams of seeing Earth, of seeing a human. So I brought her here, to meet the man who saved my life, to show her that the stories are true. General Tejo stood frozen. He did not know what to say. Behind him, everyone was silent. This was not what they had expected. They had prepared for invasion, for war, for demands. Not for this, not for a mother bringing her child to say thank you. The little girl Nova stepped forward. She was brave for one so small. She looked up at the general with her big dark eyes. Please, she said. Her voice was tiny and sweet. Can I meet the kind human? I came such a long way. And in that moment, everything changed. The crowd parted as Ji-hoon walked forward. Soldiers stepped aside. Officials moved back. Even the helicopters seemed to quiet down, as if the whole world was holding its breath. He walked alone across the empty space toward the alien ship. His footsteps were the only sound. His heart beat hard in his chest, but his steps were steady. He had faced the void of space. He had looked into the endless darkness between stars. He could do this. Kira saw him coming. Her large dark eyes focused on him, and something changed in her face. Her calm expression softened. Her lips curved into something like a smile. She bent down and whispered to her daughter. Little Nova turned to look. Her eyes went wide. She grabbed her mother's robe tightly and bounced on her small feet with excitement. Ji-hoon stopped a few meters away. He looked up at Kira. She was taller than he remembered. Or maybe he had gotten smaller with age. 5 years had passed. He had more gray hair now, more wrinkles. He was not the strong astronaut who had pulled her from a dying ship, but her eyes still looked at him the same way, like he was something impossible, something wonderful. Kira, he said softly, I remember you. And I remember you, Park Ji-hoon, she replied. Her voice was warm. I remember everything about that day. I have thought of you often. She placed her hand over her heart. Among my people, we say that when someone saves your life, your souls become connected. You are part of my story now, forever. Ji-hoon did not know what to say. He had never been good with words. So he simply bowed, the traditional Korean way, deep and respectful. When he stood straight again, he saw that Kira was bowing too. Her bow was different, her hand still over her heart, but the meaning was the same. Then a small voice spoke. Are you the kind human? Ji-hoon looked down. Little Nova had stepped out from behind her mother. She stood before him, barely reaching his waist. Her blue skin seemed to glow in the evening light. Her dark eyes looked up at him with wonder and hope. Ji-hoon knelt down slowly so he could be at her level. His old knees protested, but he ignored them. He smiled gently at the child. I do not know about kind, he said, but I am human. And I am Park Ji-hoon. Nova studied his face carefully. She reached out one small blue hand, hesitated, then touched his cheek. Her fingers were cool, like touching water. She traced the wrinkles around his eyes. You look different from the pictures Mother showed me, she said seriously. You have more lines on your face. Ji-hoon laughed. It came out naturally, surprising him. Yes, I am old now. Humans change as we grow older. These lines are called wrinkles. We get them from living many years. Do they hurt? No, little one. They do not hurt. They are just marks of time. Each one tells a story. Nova nodded seriously, as if this was very important information. Then she smiled, and her whole face lit up like a small sun. Mother tells me a story about you every night, she said. About how you saved her. About how you gave her your air when hers was gone. About how you carried her through the dark. Is it true? Did you really do those things? Ji-hoon looked at Kira. She was watching them with soft eyes. She nodded slightly, encouraging him. Yes, Ji-hoon said to Nova. It is true, but it was not very special. Your mother was in trouble. She needed help. So I helped her. That is all. Lol. Nova shook her head firmly. No, Mother says it was very special. She says humans are the only ones who do such things. Other species do not risk their lives for strangers. But humans do. Always. Even when they are scared. Even when it makes no sense. She leaned closer, her small face serious. Mother says humans are strange. She says you feel pain, but you still help others. She says you are weak compared to many species, but you have the strongest hearts. She says that is why everyone in the galaxy knows about Earth, not because of your wars or your machines, but because of your kindness. Ji-hoon felt his throat tighten. He had never thought of himself as special. He had just done what felt right. But hearing this child speak of humanity this way, with such wonder and admiration, made him feel something he could not name. Your mother gives us too much credit, he said softly. No. Kira spoke now, stepping forward. She speaks the truth. Park Ji-hoon, you do not understand what you did. When you saved me, you were the first human to make contact with another species. And you chose kindness. You chose to help. That moment has echoed across the stars. She gestured upward, toward the darkening sky where the first stars were appearing. There are thousands of worlds out there. Millions of species. And on many of them, they tell stories of Earth. Of the small blue planet whose people have hearts too big for their bodies. They call you the kind ones. The helpers. The impossible people. Nova tugged at Ji-hoon's sleeve. Mother said that when I was old enough, she would bring me to Earth, to see the humans, to see if the stories were true. And are they? Ji-hoon asked. Am I what you expected? Nova looked at him for a long moment. Her dark eyes seemed to hold depths beyond her years. Then she smiled again. "You are better," she said simply. Ji-hoon felt tears forming in his eyes. He blinked them back. He was an old man. Old men were not supposed to cry in front of aliens and cameras and the whole watching world, but Nova saw anyway. She reached up and caught a tear that escaped down his cheek. She looked at the droplet on her blue finger with curiosity. "Water," she said. "You are crying. Mother told me about this. She said humans leak water from their eyes when they feel big emotions." "Yes," Ji-hoon said, his voice rough. "We call them tears. We cry when we are sad, but also sometimes when we are very happy. Which is this?" He smiled through his tears. "Happy, little one. Very happy." Nova carefully wiped the tear on her robe, as if it was something precious she wanted to keep. Then she did something that surprised everyone watching. She stepped forward and wrapped her small arms around Ji-hoon in a hug. The crowd gasped. Soldiers tensed. Officials whispered urgently. But Ji-hoon simply hugged her back. She was small and cool in his arms. She smelled like something he could not identify, like flowers from a world he would never see. "Thank you," she whispered into his ear. "Thank you for saving Mother. Thank you for being kind." Ji-hoon held her gently and closed his eyes. "Thank you for coming," he whispered back. "Thank you for believing in us." When they finally separated, Kira was there. Her dark eyes were shining with something that might have been tears, though no water fell from her eyes. "You see why I had to bring her," Kira said. She has dreamed of this moment for so long. To see a human, to meet one, to know that kindness exists in the universe. Ji-hoon stood up slowly, his knees aching but his heart full. "I am glad you came," he said. "Both of you. You have shown me something too." "What is that?" Kira asked. He looked at her, then at Nova, then up at the vast ship hanging in the sky. He thought about all the stars out there, all the worlds, all the species who knew about Earth. "You have shown me that what we do matters," he said. "That small acts of kindness can travel farther than we ever imagine. That we are not alone. And that maybe, just maybe, being human is something to be proud of." Nova reached up and took his hand. Her small blue fingers wrapped around his woolen ones. "Can I show you something?" she asked. "I brought a gift. For you. For all humans." Ji-hoon nodded. "I would be honored." And as the stars came out above Seoul, a little alien girl led an old human man toward her ship, still holding his hand, ready to share a gift from across the galaxy. The news spread across the world like fire. Every television showed the same thing. Every website told the same story. An alien had come to Earth, and she was looking for a Korean man named Park Ji-hoon. Within hours, people everywhere were asking the same question. Who was Park Ji-hoon? The answer came quickly. Park Ji-hoon was a former astronaut. He had worked for the Korean space program for 15 years. He had been on many missions. He was known as a quiet man, a good man, someone who did his job without seeking fame or attention. 5 years ago, he had been part of a deep space research mission. The details were classified. But now, suddenly, everyone wanted to know what had happened out there in the darkness between stars. The military searched their records. They found him. Park Ji-hoon was 52 years old. He had retired 3 years ago. He lived in a small town outside of Busan, far from the capital. He lived quietly with his wife. No children. No exciting life. Just peace and simple days. General Taeho sent soldiers to find him immediately. In his small house by the sea. Ji-hoon was watching television when the story broke. He sat in his old chair, a cup of tea growing cold in his hands. His wife, Yuna, stood behind him, her hand on his shoulder. On the screen, he saw the alien woman, Kira, and suddenly, the memories came flooding back. the darkness of space. The broken ship floating like a ghost. The figure inside, barely alive. Blue skin, white hair. Eyes that opened slowly when he pulled her free. The fear in those eyes, turning to wonder. The moment she realized he meant to help her, he remembered carrying her through the airlock. He remembered sharing his oxygen when hers ran out. He remembered how light she felt in his arms, even in her strange silver suit. He remembered the way she had looked at him when they reached safety, like he was something impossible, something she could not believe. They had not spoken much. Her Korean was not good then. But before she left on a rescue ship from her own people, she had touched his face gently, and she had said one word in her language. He did not know what it meant, but he had never forgotten the sound of it. "Ji-hoon," Eunice said softly. "Is this real? Is she the one you saved?" He nodded slowly. His throat felt tight. "Yes, that is her. I would know her anywhere." Eunice squeezed his shoulder. "Then you must go to her." He looked up at his wife. She was 60 years old now. Her hair was gray. Her face had wrinkles. But her eyes were still bright and strong. They had been married for 30 years. She knew him better than anyone. "I am old," he said. "I am nobody now. Just a retired man. What could she possibly want with me?" Eunice smiled. "Did you not hear what she said? Her daughter wants to meet you. A child traveled across the stars to see you, Ji-hoon. You cannot hide from that." Before he could answer, there was a knock at the door. Loud and urgent. Ji-hoon opened it to find 4 soldiers standing outside. They looked nervous. Behind them were 3 black cars. "Mr. Park, Ji-hoon?" The leader asked. "Yes. Sir, we need you to come with us. The alien visitor has asked for you specifically. The president himself requests your presence." Ji-hoon looked back at his wife. She was already getting his coat. "Go," she said. "The whole world is waiting. And so is a little girl." The journey to Seoul took 2 hours by helicopter. Ji-hoon sat in silence, watching the land pass below him. He thought about his life. He had done many things. Flown to space. Walked on the moon. Seen things that most people only dreamed of. But he had always been quiet about it. He did not like attention. He did not like fame. He just wanted to do good work and live a simple life. Now the entire world knew his name. When they landed in Seoul, he was taken to a large tent near the alien ship. Officials were everywhere. Cameras flashed. People shouted questions. Soldiers made a path for him through the crowd. Inside the tent, General Taeho was waiting. He looked tired and stressed. But when he saw Ji-hoon, his face showed relief. "Mr. Park," he said, bowing slightly. "Thank you for coming. I know this must be overwhelming." "It is," Ji-hoon admitted. "I never expected this. I never told anyone about what happened out there." The mission was classified. "We know," the general said. "We have read the files. What you did was extraordinary. You saved an alien life. You made first contact, in a way. And you never sought any reward for it." Ji-hoon shook his head. "I did not do it for reward." She was dying. Anyone would have helped. The general looked at him strangely. "No, Mr. Park, not anyone. Most people would have been afraid. Most people would have hesitated. You did not. That is why you are here." He led Ji-hoon to a screen showing a live video of the alien woman and her daughter. They were still standing near their platform, surrounded by a ring of soldiers. But they did not seem worried. Kira stood tall and calm. Little Nova was looking around with curious eyes, pointing at birds in the sky. "She has refused to move until she sees you," the general said. "She has not made any demands. She has not shown any threat. She simply wants to meet you. And her daughter is very eager." Ji-hoon watched the screen. The little girl was beautiful in a strange way. Her blue skin glowed slightly in the fading light. Her white hair moved in the wind like silk. She looked so young, so innocent, so excited. She came all this way, Ji-hoon said quietly. Just for this? It seems so, the general replied. Mr. Park, I will be honest with you. We do not know what to expect. We do not know if this is some kind of trick. But our experts believe she is telling the truth. She genuinely seems to just want her daughter to meet you. Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. He thought about Kira, about the look in her eyes when he saved her, about the gentle touch of her hand on his face, about the words she had spoken. I will meet her, he said finally. The general nodded. We will have soldiers with you. For your protection. No, Ji-hoon said. His voice was firm now. No soldiers. No weapons. If she came in peace, I will meet her in peace. That is the right way. The general started to argue, but something in Ji-hoon's eyes stopped him. This was a man who had walked in space, who had faced death and darkness, who had saved a life when it would have been easier to run. Very well, the general said. We will clear a path. But please, Mr. Park, be careful. Ji-hoon smiled slightly. It was the first time he had smiled all day. I spent 15 years in space, he said. I have learned that the universe is full of wonders, not just dangers. Sometimes you have to trust in kindness. He straightened his old jacket and took a deep breath. Now, please, take me to her. Nova led Ji-hoon toward the platform that had brought her and her mother down from the ship. Her small hand was warm now in his, as if their touch had shared some heat between them. Kira walked beside them, her silver robe flowing like water in the evening breeze. The soldiers watched nervously. General Taeho stood at the front of the crowd, his face tight with worry. But he did not stop them. Something about this moment felt sacred. Something that should not be interrupted. When they reached the platform, Nova let go of Ji-hoon's hand and ran to a small box that sat near the edge. It was made of something that looked like glass, but it glowed softly from within, changing colors from blue to purple to pink. She picked up the box carefully, holding it like it was the most precious thing in the universe. Then she turned and walked back to Ji-hoon, her face serious and ceremonial. Mother, should I say the words? She asked. Kira smiled and nodded. Yes, Nova, say them as I taught you. Nova took a deep breath. She stood straight, trying to look tall and important. Ji-hoon had to stop himself from smiling at how adorable she looked. Park Ji-hoon, Nova said formally, her small voice carrying in the quiet air. And through you, all the people of Earth, I bring you a gift from my world, from the far gardens of our home. This gift is small, but it holds great meaning. She opened the box. Inside, resting on a bed of something soft and silver, was a crystal. It was about the size of a fist, shaped like an egg. It glowed from within with a gentle golden light, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Ji-hoon stared at it. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. The light seemed alive, warm, and welcoming. What is it? He asked softly. It is a seed, Nova said. From the tree of light on my homeworld. The tree has lived for 10,000 of your years. It is the heart of our world. Its light guides ships home across the darkness. Its seeds are the most precious things we have. She held the box out to him. Mother says that when you saved her, you gave her the light of hope. You pulled her from darkness into life. So I want to give you light too. Light for all your world. Forever. Ji-hoon's hands were shaking as he reached for the box. He looked at Kira, uncertain. I cannot accept something so precious, he said. This belongs to your world. Your people. Kira shook her head gently. It belongs wherever light is needed. and my people agreed that Earth should have it. The Council of Elders voted. They want the kind ones to have a piece of our heart. Nova pushed the box closer to him. Please take it. I want you to have it. When it grows into a tree, it will glow forever, night after night, and everyone who sees it will remember. Remember what? Ji-hoon asked. That kindness matters, Nova said simply. That helping others is the most important thing. That a human saved my mother, and because of that, our worlds are friends. Ji-hoon took the box. The moment his fingers touched the crystal, he felt warmth spread through his body. It was like standing in sunlight after a cold winter, like coming home after a long journey, like being hugged by someone who loved you. Tears ran down his face again, but this time he did not try to hide them. Thank you, he said, his voice breaking. Thank you, Nova. Thank you, Kira. I do not have words for what this means. Nova smiled her brilliant smile. You do not need words. Mother says humans speak more with their hearts than their mouths. I can feel what you feel. She reached up and touched his chest, right over his heart. Your heart is very loud, she said. Very warm. It makes me happy. Behind them, the crowd had grown silent. The cameras were still rolling, broadcasting to the whole world. Billions of people were watching. Billions of people saw the old astronaut crying, holding a glowing crystal, while a small blue child touched his heart, and something shifted in the world. In living rooms and offices, in hospitals and schools, in every country on every continent, people felt it. A warmth that had nothing to do with temperature. A hope that had nothing to do with luck. The sense that maybe, just maybe, the universe was not so cold and empty after all. General Taeho stepped forward slowly. His face had changed. The hardness was gone. He looked like a man who had just seen something he would never forget. Mr. Park, he said, what would you like us to do? Where should we plant this seed? Ji-hoon thought for a moment. He looked at the crystal in his hands, still pulsing with gentle light. Then he looked at the city around them, at the buildings, at the people, at the sky full of stars. It should be planted where everyone can see it, he said, where it can remind us every night of what we can be, of what we should be. He turned to Nova. Where do you think, little one? Where should we plant your gift? Nova looked around with her big dark eyes. She pointed at a hill in the distance, just outside the city. It was a green place, covered with trees, high enough to be seen from anywhere in Seoul. There, she said, on top of that hill, so the light can shine down on everyone, so nobody forgets. Kira nodded in approval. A wise choice. The tree will grow tall there. Its light will be seen for many miles. And when people look up at night, they will see it shining. Ji-hoon smiled. Then that is where we will plant it. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Officials arranged for the seed to be transported. Scientists came to study it carefully, treating it with great respect. The hill was cleared and prepared. Everything was done with ceremony and care. Through it all, Nova stayed by Ji-hoon's side. She asked him endless questions about Earth, about humans, about their lives and their world. She wanted to know everything. Why do humans eat so many different foods? She asked. Because we like variety, Ji-hoon explained. We get bored eating the same thing. Why do you sleep at night? Why not in the day? Because our sun is up during the day. We work when there is light. Why do humans hug? Ji-hoon paused at this question. He thought carefully. Because sometimes, he said, there are feelings too big for words. And holding someone close is the only way to share them. Nova considered this. Then she hugged him again. I understand, she said. This is a good custom. I think I will bring it back to my world. Kira watched them with soft eyes. She said little, but her expression spoke volumes. She was happy. Her daughter was happy. The gift had been accepted. Everything was as it should be. As midnight approached, they gathered on the hill. Ji-hoon, Kira, Nova, and hundreds of officials, scientists, and ordinary people who had come to watch. The hole was dug. The moment had arrived. Ji-hoon knelt beside the hole, the crystal seed in his hands. Nova knelt beside him. "Should we do it together?" he asked. She nodded eagerly. Yes, together. They placed the seed in the earth, side by side. They pushed the dirt over it gently, covering it completely. Then they stood back. For a moment, nothing happened. The night was dark and quiet. Then the ground began to glow. Golden light seeped up through the soil. It spread outward in gentle waves. The earth itself seemed to breathe with it, pulsing soft and slow. A sprout pushed through the dirt. Small at first, but growing fast. A tiny tree of pure golden light, rising toward the stars. The crowd gasped. Some people fell to their knees. Some laughed with joy. Some cried. Nova clapped her hands and jumped up and down. "It is growing!" she shouted. "It is growing! The light tree is growing on Earth." Ji-hoon stood in the golden glow, tears streaming down his face, and felt something he had not felt in many years. Hope, pure, shining, impossible hope. The universe was vast and dark. But in that darkness, there was light. And that light had come to Earth as a gift. As a thank you. As a promise, kindness matters. Helping others matters. And sometimes, when you save one life, you change everything.